Hi everyone, and thanks for being with me. It is horrifying to hear of the death of a young child that was murdered by his father, and at the same time his father killed himself. Now, this is part of the scourge which is domestic violence, and we need to understand that these horrors happen more often than we care to name. To this point, there are about 29 women who have been killed this year at the hands of their partner or ex-partner or someone that they're intimate with. And as a result of that, the governments have decided that there's drastic action that is needed. Far too late, I hasten to add, because this problem's been going on since the year dot. But nevertheless, something at this point is being done in order to correct these horrors. But regardless of what the departments do, regardless of what the government does, this horror still seems to continue and innocent people lose their lives. One has to wonder what it would have caused this man to have caused such an horrific act. And one needs to wonder whether or not, to some extent, this man may have been known to police. Well, the answer to the latter question is yes, he was known to police. He was known about his domestic violence. And clearly, in this reporting that I'm about to show you, his ex-partner knew about him and his potential for behaving the way that he finally did. Even though that's not specifically mentioned here, there's an undertone that to some extent this woman would have known that potentially he was violent. And the other interesting factor here is that the child was with the mother, but access was awarded to him. Again, potentially a failing of the family law court system. So I'm going to take you to the article, and it says here, police suspect murder, suicide after tragic discovery of man and 2-year-old's body in Lismore home. So the crime scene has been established after the bodies of a man and his 2-year-old son were found in a home on the New South Wales far north coast overnight in what police believe was a murder-suicide. Police said officers attended a unit in East Lismore about 9:45 p.m. on Sunday due to concerns for the welfare of a man and his son. Now, Thurtle said that the man was known to police for previous DV domestic violence matters, but not significant issues. Well, one has to wonder, what were those DV issues and what was there about them that wasn't significant enough? I mean, and what conversations, and I'd be wondering about what conversations had the police had with the child's mother in relation to this man's behaviour, and whether there were enough red lights, enough warning signs, I guess, to have made an assessment that perhaps he shouldn't have access to his son, or at least be receiving some form of treatment. And what form of treatment did he receive, if any? The deaths came after an unrelated 4-day statewide blitz that led to more than 550 people being charged with 1,070 offences. Of those arrested, 226 were wanted by police for serious domestic violence abuse and offences. The blitz included 3,737 domestic violence order checks and another 1,300 bail compliance checks. Thurtle said domestic violence offences were rising, but it showed people were increasingly willing to come forward. Once the coercive control legislation comes into play on July the 1st and victims start to understand what it is, what they may see is see an increase yet again. And I think this is, for me, this is the issue, is that we can have as much legislation as we require, but to have that appropriately assessed and evaluated by professionals, particularly magistrates, and particularly those people that are aware of the mental well-beings of certain individuals, then I'm sure that perhaps the appropriate changes could be made. But at the moment, it seems unlikely that the resources will be placed in those particular areas. And one of the areas that particularly is of concern to me is the training of magistrates to better understand the nuances of domestic violence and to find ways by which they can best mitigate against terrible offences such as this one that we witnessed or that we've been informed about today. So what are we going to do about this? I think we need to be, one of the key issues which I've raised on a previous video, and I'll state it again, is that we should always call out behaviour which we think is dangerous towards women. And we also must be aware that some of that behaviour, not some of it, all of that behaviour impacts children. This is a terrible, this is the fatal death of a child. And, you know, why a man would go through that, or what sort of mental process would you have to go through in order to think that, you know, if I can't have this relationship and therefore I can't have the child, then, you know, I'm going to kill the child. And in some cases, if I can't have that relationship with the woman, then I'm going to kill the woman. I mean, those ideas are horrific to me, yet they are manifest ideas. They are ideas which surge and which rotate and cycle in men's minds. And if we knew those ideas were there, then we could do things to be able to mitigate so that at the end of the day, terrible, tragic deaths like this would not occur. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you've got any ideas, it's about how we can best deal with this issue around domestic violence and try and keep women and children safe. In the meantime, take care, look after yourselves, and, as I was just saying, make sure that you and the people that you love are safe.